In 1969, humanity attempted something no species have ever done. We left our world, crossed a quarter million miles of empty space, and set foot on a silent, airless alien landscape. The moon landing became one of the most viewed moments in human history, and yet, over time, people began to ask questions. Questions that grew louder, questions that spread online, questions that turned into debates, arguments, and entire conspiracy subcultures. But questions, no matter how loud, don't erase evidence. And the evidence that we landed on the moon isn't vague, it isn't fragile, it is overwhelming, scientific, measurable, physical, independent. The truth is that the moon remembers us, even if some people don't. This is the moon landing, the real evidence. Our story begins with a machine so powerful that nothing like it has existed before or since, the Saturn V rocket. Standing taller than a 36-story building and weighing more than 6 million pounds, the Saturn V was and remains the most powerful rocket ever successfully flown by humans. When its five F1 engines ignited, the Saturn V produced 7.6 million pounds of thrust. The shockwave was so intense that it cracked glass miles away. The heat scorched the launch pad. The sound was so loud that standing too close would have ruptured internal organs. This was not a model, not CGI, not a miniature. Hundreds of thousands of people watched this rocket ascend in person. Its mass, its speed, its shockwaves, its plume shape, these things can't be faked. Physics don't lie. During liftoff, the rocket accelerated exactly as expected for a multi-stage chemical booster. Its pressure, temperature, burn rates, and trajectory were monitored by tracking stations around the world, not just NASA. To fake the moon landing, you will need to fake the Saturn V. And to fake the Saturn V in front of 500,000 live spectators with physics, wind effects, heat distortion, and shock waves would have been more impossible than actually building it. But NASA wasn't the only group observing Apollo 11. To communicate with the spacecraft, NASA relied on a global network called the Deep Space Network. Honeysuckle Creek in Australia, Fresnedillas in Spain, Goldstone in California. These stations weren't Hollywood props. They were staffed by international teams, radio astronomers, engineers, physicists who tracked Apollo independently of NASA control. Most people don't realize this, but the Soviet Union, America's rival, tracked Apollo as well. They received the spacecraft's radio transmissions, they measured Doppler shifts, checked velocity vectors, and confirmed translunar injection. If the United States had faked Apollo, the Soviet Union would have announced it to the world. Instead, they congratulated NASA. No government can fake a spacecraft broadcasting telemetry across continents with Doppler accuracy matching orbital mechanics. Math doesn't lie. Space doesn't lie. The signal came from exactly where it was supposed to, deep space. When the astronauts returned, they didn't just bring stories, they brought back pieces of another world. Apollo missions returned 842 pounds of lunar rocks and soil. These rocks are completely different from Earth rocks, and their chemistry proves they formed in an environment with no atmosphere, extreme radiation, micrometeorite bombardment, and billions of years of solar wind exposure. Moon rocks contain solar wind particles embedded inside their crystal structure. The sun blasts charged ions into lunar soil for billions of years. Earth's atmosphere shields us from this. No Earth rock has this signature. Lunar rocks also contain microscopic glass beads formed by micrometeorite impacts on Earth. Micrometeorites burn up in the atmosphere. On the moon, they slam into the surface at hypervelocity, melting rock into tiny glass spherules. Inside lunar minerals, there is no water. Not trapped, not chemically bound, not absorbed. Earth rocks almost always contain moisture. Lunar rocks do not, because the moon is bone dry and airless. Their oxygen isotope ratios match Earth's mantle, supporting the giant impact theory, yet their mineral structure is completely lunar. Scientists from Japan, Germany, France, the UK, and universities worldwide analyzed these rocks. They all confirmed the same thing. These rocks are from the moon, and nothing on Earth can duplicate their chemistry. You cannot fake 842 pounds of lunar geology, especially not in 1969. During Apollo 11, 14, and 15, astronauts placed retroreflectors, mirrors arrays, on the lunar surface. These are not symbolic, they are precision scientific instruments. Today, scientists fire lasers from Earth observatories. The beam travels to the moon, hits the reflector, and returns. Round trip time 2.5 seconds. These reflectors still work. No movie set can place a working laser reflector 240,000 miles away. Every successful laser return confirms the same truth. Something human made is sitting on the lunar surface, exactly where Apollo astronauts left it. Apollo photos look strange because the moon is strange. The moon has no atmosphere. This means no air to scatter sunlight, no soft shadows, no haze, no blue sky, extreme contrast. On the moon, shadows are pitch black. Surfaces facing the sun are blindingly bright. Hollywood in 1969 could not replicate this lighting. They had no HDR film, no CGI, no digital composition, no light sources powerful enough to mimic the sun across a landscape. The Apollo photos contain correct exposure, shadow behavior, reflectivity, and ground scattering for an airless body. These effects are impossible to fake with 1960s technology. Dust is one of the strongest pieces of physical evidence. On Earth, dust floats, swirls, and hangs because air slows it down. On the moon, dust falls instantly. It follows perfect parabolic arcs. It never billows or lingers. This behavior can only happen in a vacuum. Apollo footage shows dust physics that match lunar vacuum experiments exactly. You cannot fake this outdoors. You cannot fake this indoors without a massive vacuum chamber. And in 1969, even NASA didn't have one large enough to simulate a moonwalk. Decades later, NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter photographed all Apollo landing sites from orbit. The images show descent stages, scientific packages, retroreflectors, rover tracks, astronaut footpaths. The tracks match the routes seen in mission footage. The equipment matches the placement described in astronaut logs. These aren't artifacts of imagination, they are sitting on the moon right now. The evidence isn't just scientific, it's human. During landing, Neil Armstrong's heart rate spiked to 156 beats per minute. Buzz Aldrin's climbed as well. These biomedical readings were live. You cannot fake stress responses like this in 1969. The astronauts described smells, textures, sensations that match lunar geology perfectly. Their radio transmissions captured real tension, corrections, problem solving, and relief, the emotional fingerprint of genuine exploration. The moon has no wind, no weather, no rain, nothing erases history there. Every footprint remains where it was pressed. Every instrument sits exactly where it was placed. Humanity left a mark on the moon that will last millions of years. The moon landing wasn't a myth, it wasn't a trick. It was an achievement built from engineering, courage, sacrifice, and science. We didn't fake it, we accomplished it. And the evidence still shines from 240,000 miles away.